All right, so I think we're in business now. I tried this literally 5 times, which is funny because I'm supposed to be a tech savvy person, but this was not working itself out. But anyway, I wanted to make sure to put a PowerPoint that had important information that has come up over the last few days. I also wanted to make sure you saw my face and heard my voice because I do understand that is one of the things that can sometimes get lost through remote learning. So, yes, we are all still here. I'm still a real person. Ironically, I am wearing a shirt that says I will graduate. So, you guys are all going to graduate, the most of you, pretty soon because I know we have one junior in this class. All right, so going through this presentation. So to start off, I wanted to give shout out to all of you because I do recognize this is not easy. Like things keep changing, not only for this class, but things are just changing for remote learning at Mesa. Things are changing just around the world, around the city, every single second, every single minute, every single hour. You're getting new news, and that can be overwhelming. I also do appreciate you being very flexible during this, especially because I know I'm not your typical teacher for this. And so I am trying my hardest to be able to prepare you as much as possible through all of this. So, first thing is I wanted to go over top questions that some of you may have. So, one question that did come up on the discussion board in Google Classroom was how will reassessments work? So, this is going to work the same way as it would throughout the year. So you may have saw I just inputted a grade for a learning goal that was for your textbook summaries, and the learning goal is basically around you being able to synthesize information properly using different resources. So you're going to have other opportunities at that. So considering you guys just did a study guide and you're about to have another study guide assigned today, that will be able to reassess that learning goal, especially after you've received feedback from me today. Hopefully that you will then use in future study guides. Also realize hopefully us being able to go back as of right now in April, there will also be opportunities to be able to reassess things when Miss Goldbob comes back as well. So don't worry, there will still be opportunities to reassess learning goals with the idea of hopefully being able to reassess each learning goal 3 times. However, considering things keep changing, make sure you are trying your best and doing your hardest through all of this. All right, so a couple of people have asked, is this a new unit? So the answer is yes and no. And so why I say this is because it's a new unit, AP review. However, it is based off of old information. In terms of can I handwrite assignments? Of course. So if it's easier for you to do it into a notebook, if it's easier for you to print out the assignment and then fill it out and then upload it onto Google Classroom, you can do that, just making sure that you have completed everything that is required of the assignment. All right, so how far are we going back? Like, are we going way, way back? So the short answer is yes. So, as I mentioned in the PowerPoint yesterday that I created, the AP exam is now going to be units 1 through 6. Now, you're probably wondering why we started with unit 3. To be honest, the materials that I have regarding reviews started off with units 3 through 6. So, we're going to go through that first. And then that way, that will leave us time to be able to create materials for units 1 and 2 afterwards. So here's a tentative idea to give you in mind. So we're doing a unit per week. This first week is going to be unit 3. Next week is going to be unit 4. The week after that will be unit 5. And then since the AP exam is coming up, you will most likely also need to do work during break as well. And the goal is for us to review all of the units and then as well as have extra time to practice for the AP exam as well. All right, so this I wanted to put, and unfortunately it's getting cut off right here, is glows and grows specifically around the textbook summaries that I looked over. So, one thing that I noticed that many people did correctly was identify and define most of the terms that were in the textbook. Also, many of you use bullet points and other formatting. So, whether it was bolding, underlining words, or if you handwrote it, you might have done highlighting, you might have done underlining, but you use different ways to be able to distinguish between different parts, which is really good. Also, you guys, for the most part, were pretty short and concise with your notes. However, some notes I think was missing information. So it's being very careful to not miss information while still trying to be as brief as possible. In terms of grows, though, very little of you actually use any images. So whether it was screenshotting an image from the textbook or Googling an image that may have to do with that. Also, some of you were just listing and defining the vocabulary, but not necessarily showing how the vocabulary may connect to a specific topic or how it may connect to a specific concept. Also, what I noticed is some of you were not summarizing or defining things in your own words. So you were taking words straight out of the textbook, which does not necessarily show me whether or not you understand what the textbook is saying. And the last but not least, some of you just did not complete the assignment at all, or it was just completed only halfway. So again, realizing we don't have much time left in terms of leading to the AP exam, but then I also understand like we're in very different circumstances for remote learning, so we need to try to stay on top of the work. All right, so I just screenshotted some examples in terms of exemplar textbook summaries. So here is one example here. And I'm going to, in the Edpuzzle video, give you a space for you to be able to identify what is good about this textbook summary and how you might improve this. Here's another example of an exemplar textbook summary in order for you to identify what is good and also how you might improve this. All right, so looking at the assignment that I gave you for yesterday and continuing on for today, here is an example basically of what a good a section looks like in terms of what is it that I'm asking for, how this might connect to the unit, and then including an illustration. The very critical parts, I would say, is making sure you're really able to explain how does this connect to the unit. So why do we even care about this in this specific unit? And then also an illustration for you to be able to actually remember this information. Here's another example. Again, I'm pulling these examples from what some of you have submitted so far. All right, so the last thing is, I know with office hours specifically, it can get tricky. And then some of you may not feel like you need office hours. However, I wanted to have a 10-minute check-in with each of you during the time of remote learning to get an idea in terms of how this experience has been for you, what questions you may have. Like some of you have already reached out with questions on the discussion board or email and GChat, while other people I have not heard from at all. So I want to make sure I have a touch point with every single one of you. So as a result, I allocated a specific time in order to meet with you, and I'll send a calendar invite so you can click on the Google Hangout. And for the purpose of this is to, again, make sure I have a touch point with you and discuss also how you are planning to study to set you up for success. The last thing is, and I'm going to thank Rubeni for this, and some of you guys know I'm super corny, so I appreciate all these positive quotes and corny images. These are quotes that Rubeni left on the discussion board that I'm going to leave right here for all of you, and hopefully this will inspire you for the rest of this week. Adios. Love all of you.